Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm the King, and welcome back to the channel. To this day, I still get asked, how do you do flashlight saves? This is a common recurring theme that a lot of people want to know out of curiosity, and we have made a couple of videos like this in the past talking about how to efficiently get a flashlight save. So today, I'm going to be making an updated 3.6.2 tutorial and teaching you guys how to do this. As always, as you're watching this video, we are currently live on Twitch. We are pushing for partner, and we're ever so close getting that 75 average. So if you guys would like to come out and show some support, the link will be on screen and the description below. I would appreciate it so much. With that out the way, let's jump on into this no-nonsense video and teach you guys how to flashlight save in Dead by Daylight. So let's jump on into how to get the flashlight save. Straight away in the background, this is a normal flashlight save. The killer simply picks up the survivor, and I just flash my flashlight at them and you get the save. Essentially, what you're trying to do here is getting the blind as soon as the killer has mobility. This way it actually counts as a stun, and because of this, they will drop the survivor. Now, the most difficult thing about flashlight saving is timing and positioning. As for position, the most efficient way to do this is just being straight in front of the killer. If they're looking directly into an open line of sight, you can easily get this flashlight save. You can even do this from the corners. They have about a 60-degree cone, which is your safe area that you can get these flashlight saves. As you go around the corner, it's a little bit more difficult, but with some practice, it's not extremely hard. The next one on the list is positioning. When you are playing against a real killer, you're not always going to be able to get in the right positioning. This is where perks like Bond or Empathy will help, although not required. And then that way, as soon as someone gets injured or you're near an injured player, you can kind of shadow the killer and wait until they pick the survivor up. You want to stay stealthy until you know that the killer is going to pick the survivor up, because as soon as they pick them up, you need to be there in order to cue the flashlight at the right time. Keep in mind that if you are trying to flashlight save multiple times in a game, the killer might acknowledge this, so you might need to remain a little bit more stealthy at times because they might look around for you. Now, you can flashlight save from multiple angles, as I mentioned. You can do this from straight head on. You can even do this over certain objects if you have enough distance. However, you cannot flashlight save over specific objects that are a little bit too high, as seen in this example in the background, so be aware of that. You can do this over pallets and vaults. It's pretty simple to do as long as you have your timing right. For me personally, I like when the hand is right next to the head. That's the way I do it all the time. And keep in mind, you need to sometimes take into consideration latency. So moving on now, we are going to talk about some of the other saves that you can get in the game. This one is DCJ Tech. This one is a little bit more difficult to do, but if you can master this, you will almost get it every time if the conditions are correct. Essentially, what the CJ Tech is, if someone is in a pallet, you drop the pallet when the killer is near to stun them, forcing the survivor on the other side of the pallet. As soon as they are out of stun, what you do is vault over the pallet. This will give them the prompt to pick up the survivor rather than breaking the pallet, and you quickly vault back over and use the flashlight save. This timing is a little bit more fixed, so as soon as you come back over, you use your flashlight, because by the time you're back over, their hand is right by their head, and you're almost guaranteed to get it every single time if you do it properly. Be careful if you are playing on controller, however, because some of the key configurations are exactly the same, so it might make you heal the survivor rather than dropping the pallet, and then you will just take a hit. You don't want to do that. This is probably one of the hardest things to do with flashlights, however, deeming that the conditions need to be correct, but after a little bit of practice, it is quite easy to do. Let's move on now to some other saves that you can do with the flashlights. You can do locker saves with the flashlight, you can do vault saves with the flashlight, and you can even do generator saves with the flashlight. I'm going to show you all of the examples in the background. All of the timings are essentially the same thing. Again, this is all about your positioning. If you have the correct positioning to do this, you'll be able to get those locker saves, those vault saves, and even those generator saves. These three timings are exactly the same. Again, you want to stun the killer when they're out of animation. This one's a little bit more difficult to do, but once you get the hang of it, just like all the other saves, it's really easy. And finally, we have the flashlight flicker save. Now, this one has recently been changed in a soft patch, making it a little bit more harder to do. So this is one of those things that's a little bit more difficult to do with flashlighting. Essentially what this is, if you sometimes start your flashlight save a little bit too early, you can still recover from it by flickering your flashlight, turning it off and turning it back on, and using that time to get the beam at the right time. Because if you do your flashlight save a little bit too early, the stun will come in too early and the killer won't have motion of their character, hence making the flashlight nullified. In order to do this, you need to flicker your flashlight at the right time. Once you do this, you need to turn it back on and try to time the save as soon as the killer moves. This one took me a couple tries to do myself, so I recommend practicing this in a private game. Once you get the hang of it, you can attempt to do it. Now remember, you are not going to need to flicker if you're doing this in a regular game, only if you use your flashlight a little bit too early. That's the only time you should be using the flickering of the flashlight. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to wrap it up for this flashlight tutorial. I hope you guys did enjoy. If this helped, let me know down below. So many people, as I've mentioned, have asked me how to do flashlight saves, and I hope this tutorial helps. It teaches you literally everything that you need to do. Watch this video back a couple times, go into private games, practice with your friends, or even practice in a public match and get it to work. I hope you guys did enjoy. As always, I'm the King. I tip my crown to you guys, and we'll see you in the fog.